men have so much encouragement by women, by our society, that everybody has to talk about their feelings in order to connect. Women have to talk about their feelings in order to connect.
Thank you so much for tuning in again to Second Act TV. So happy to welcome back Dr. John Gray, the author of the most trusted and, gosh, I think it was best-selling relationship book of all times, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. John, thank you again for joining me.
Real pleasure. Thanks for inviting me back.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're here. We just finished a segment. A link to it was very interesting about relationship expectations. And one of these expectations that has changed a lot in the last 30 years. In fact, you adapted your book, Beyond Mars and Venus, is now updated into our more current relationship times, where men have really been, well, pushed, perhaps encouraged to be more, share their feelings, share their emotions. And while that certainly, is good from a mental health perspective and just overall happiness, you point out that when it comes to romantic relationships, there's a way to share and perhaps not to share, and why that's important. So I want to throw that over to you, talk about men, and sharing emotions, their feelings. What do women need to know?
Okay, so I was growing up in a family where my mother and father stayed together, had 7 children. I never saw them arguing and fighting, and they were very happy with each other. My father never talked about his feelings to my mother, and my mother could share whatever she was feeling. And occasionally he might talk about feeling, but it was like people didn't do that. And people do it too much today. Often people say, we need to talk about it. Why do we say that? Because psychology tells us you need to talk about it. Now, psychology tells you need to talk about it because modern psychology is based upon the experience of people like me who do therapy. Now, people like me who do therapy, the people who come into our office, not over 90% are women. So what happens is, see, women's biology, their genome, their genes, basically, when you're stressed and you're a woman, your genes are different from a man's. What you need to do when you're stressed is talk about what's bothering you. When you talk about what's bothering you and somebody listens to you with empathy, what happens is your estrogen levels as a woman go up, and estrogen calms you down. Estrogen allows you to trust that everything's okay. So when you're all stressed, you're feeling, then you talk about it with a therapist or a friend or something, or you write a journal, or you pray to God. All the old prayers were always complaining to God, help me, help me, help me, So you feel like you're talking about what's inside. Mm-hmm. When you talk about your feelings, your estrogen levels go up. Okay, that's biology. Now, the other part of biology is if you're a man and your estrogen levels go up, you will feel more love for your partner, as long as you also have 10 to 20 times more testosterone than a woman. Mm-hmm. But when a man is angry, when a man is feeling hurt, when a man is feeling anxious, defensive, all arguments are always both people are feeling afraid. They wouldn't say right now, I'm afraid. Maybe a woman might, but a man would say, I'm angry. What happens when a man is upset, he's in a stress state. If he talks, particularly if he talks to a person that he's trying to win an argument with, or he's trying to elicit sympathy with, or he talks about his feelings as an excuse. Any talking to your spouse, particularly when a man is upset, what is it going to do? It's going to raise his estrogen. And when he's not feeling happy and estrogen goes up, then that unhappiness just increases and increases and increases. Whatever emotion you're feeling intensifies in a man if you talk about it. So already, you see, when a man is in fight or flight, his estrogen levels are surging and his testosterone is going down.
Okay, so with the argument, I get that it depletes the man's testosterone, the estrogen, the more estrogen, the more angrier, I believe he gets as well.
Right. Everybody thinks anger in men is high testosterone. Mm-hmm. It's not. So I would suggest every woman a takeaway. I have all these ideas, but here's a practical takeaway. If you complain to a man, try to complain less, because every time you complain, his testosterone goes down. Every time you ask for something in a nice way and he does it, his testosterone goes up. Why I said ask after complain is because every complaint really is an ask. You're asking someone to do something for you. But because nobody ever taught women how to ask for support. When women, because they have a difficult time asking. Why? Because for thousands of years, you never had to ask a man for anything, because we already knew our job. Our job was taught to us by our fathers. And then you picked him based on he already knows what to do. So I really don't have to ask for much at all. So you have absolutely no training in asking for support from a man in a way that works. You certainly saw your mother complaining, and that's all you know. Complaining is simply a request fueled by negativity. And anytime you use negativity to get what you want, you will get less. And not only do you get less, but when you use negativity to get what you want, then when you want something, your mind is busy focusing on what's bad to justify my asking for more.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that I think is so interesting, what you point out, is that women, one of the reasons that we really maybe should, is not a good word, but let's use it for a minute. We maybe shouldn't.
We should if they want something to work.
Yeah. But if we shouldn't really encourage, or may not want to encourage, a man to share his feelings or emotions, because even not out of an argumentative state, but just if there's an issue that we're listening to, we get into mommy mode, I believe you put it.
That's what I've talked about. So I see where you're going. Let me explain a little bit here, because I didn't go there, and I want to go there now, which is men have so much encouragement by women, by our society, that everybody has to talk about their feelings in order to connect. Women have to talk about their feelings in order to connect. When you talk about your feelings, basically you're saying, hey, husband, I want you to penetrate me. I want you to connect with me by going into me. There's two ways. There's only one way to connect. Somebody has to be the vagina and somebody has to be the penis. If you want your husband to have a penis, you need to be a vagina. You need to open up and he inserts. That's called I hear you. That's called listening. So what happens is that women don't feel the connection and they're afraid to open up. So to make them feel safe, they want to open him up. So they pull out their penis and want to go into him and say, what's going on? What are you feeling? But men don't have a vagina. So what do you get? An asshole.
I've never quite heard it explained like that.
I never have either, but this is YouTube.
Oh, that is too funny. That is too
funny.
funny.
Good joke, but see, now we come back to the reality. I mean, women are insecure. They want to know what's going on in a man. Why do you want to know? You want to know that he loves you and he cares for you and he's not cheating on you and he's not going to leave you. That's really what it is. It's based upon an insecurity, because women 10 times more insecure than men. Why? Because you have more estrogen than men. And if you're not getting what you need, you'll feel insecure. So that's okay. I understand that. I tell my wife every day, I love you so much. I give her 4 hugs a day. I randomly bring her flowers. I plan dates. I do things. I walk into the room. I stroke her hair just to let her know I see you. All these little things that I teach in my books. Why do men have to do that? Because why should men do that if they want relationships to work? It's not a big deal. Men only don't do it because we don't need it. I don't need my wife to come stroke my hair while I'm watching TV and ask me how I'm feeling. Okay? I don't want that. I don't want that. Now, I know women aren't happy today. Why women aren't happy today is because they're way on their male side. They're producing male hormones all day. So they need more than ever to talk about their feelings, So when they talk about their feelings are about him. Never share negative feelings about him. He'll just shut down. He's not going to hear it. And then you're going to think, why can't he listen to my feelings? My friends can listen to my feelings. Why can't he? Because you're complaining about him. You're telling him he's failed you. He's not enough. And you don't realize the impact of saying, I feel hurt. This is the worst thing psychology teaches. They teach these young people, just put I feel in front of whatever you feel. And it's supposed to, because you're feeling it. It's not about them. Of course it's about them. I feel ignored by you. I feel you don't love me. I feel your work is more important than me. I feel like you don't love me as much as before. Yes, you can feel those things. Go talk to a woman about it. Go talk to your therapist about it. And then you can say to your husband, hey, honey, let's plan a date next weekend. Here's 3 things I'd like to do. Would you take me? And let him show you how much he loves you. And then you can have another conversation. As a woman, I feel sort of insecure much of the time. I just need to hear you tell me, I love you so much. You're so beautiful.
And that's okay.
And that's okay. Of course, that's okay. You have to do that. Why? My dad didn't need to say that because my mother knew he loved her because she could not make money and he made money. And he did this awful job for her and didn't complain. So when a woman depended on a man for things, and he did it, then you felt love. But today, women don't depend on men that much for things. I have one client, she has $10 million. He makes $500,000 a year, somewhere around that. And she's always critical of him. I said, if you didn't have $10 million, you would not be so unhappy with him because you would appreciate how much work he does for your happiness. See, when you feel I need someone and they do something for you, you feel a lot of love. If you don't really need it, it's like if I'm not hungry and I eat a meal, it's not such a big deal. But if I fast for a day and I have a good meal, boy, it tastes delicious. Yeah. So women are disconnected from the female side of both a man or a woman is the part of us that needs attention, that needs affection, that needs reassurance, that needs love. Now, why do women become so needy about this? Well, first of all, if they're single, they've been pushing that down. That's why they're single. But then they get in a relationship and then that neediness comes up and it shows up as pickiness, critical, and are seeking too much reassurance and wanting to change the guy because you're not satisfied, your needs not being met. Once you can make money, women, what you need a man for is not money. Well, what do you need him for? You need him for a new kind of reassurance, a kind of love that helps you come back to your female side. And what can help you come back to your female hormones? One of the most powerful things is to share your feelings with your partner for a maximum of 10 minutes. Men cannot last longer than 10 minutes. It's it's like sex, most men are done in 2 minutes, but they can get up 5 or 10. This is same thing. It's too much estrogen. When you're sharing your feelings, he's connecting with you. The estrogen goes up, his testosterone goes down. So, you can usually get a guy if you just say, you don't have to do anything. It's not a big deal. I just want you to listen. And then I feel closer to you. I like to share about my day. I miss you during the day. Here's some of the things that happened today. And then bring feelings into it. If a woman, I see so many women can't do this right away. I have to teach them how to do it, how to add emotion to what you're saying. Like, oh, the copier broke today. It was so frustrating. I didn't know how to get my paper done. I was late. Then when it didn't go through, I felt so disappointed. Bring emotion. The kids are going to school. They're not doing grades. I feel so concerned. I don't know what she's going to do. And I don't know what we're going to do here. Express emotion. That pulls men's attention in. If there's no emotion, there's no connection. He needs to hear your emotion. Women don't know how to communicate this way. I gave you a hint on it. Bring emotion into your conversation. Not be emotional, but say, I feel this emotion because this happened. It's a new way of communicating. Women don't know how to do that because if you want to connect with a woman, all you have to do is say the copy machine didn't work and this guy wouldn't get the thing done for me. A woman knows exactly what you feel. You don't have to tell her it was frustrating. You don't have to tell her it was disappointing. She knows what you're feeling because she walks in your shoes every day.
I was going to say the exact opposite, John, or you don't want men to do that. And when women ask men to share their feelings, then they become, like you said, there's almost
they become too estrogen oriented. They become feminized.
They become, but they're also not. The woman also is not attracted to the man or that.
Absolutely not. When you're listening to a man's emotions, you go into mother. You will start going into mother zone. That's a zone. A woman can be a mother. She can be a lover. She can be a business owner. She got all these hats she can wear. As soon as a man starts to show emotional vulnerability by showing frustration, disappointment, sadness, anger, any of those things, she is now the mother and it kills the passion in the relationship. But when a woman shows those things, makes us feel like can-do man, I can help you. The problem is men don't know how to help because women don't tell them what you need in a nice way. And often women just don't know. They just get in an argument. But when you're talking about your feelings about something other than him, without training, he will always interrupt you and give you a solution. Well, you shouldn't do that. Well, you could just do this. Or you're worried about that. We do that. He'll have a plan. He'll have a solution. Or he'll dismiss. He'll say, you're making a big deal out of this. It's not a big deal. Just let it go. Thinking that he's helping you doesn't help. What he has to learn is how to just listen and ask questions and go into you. He doesn't know that. So you have to tell him almost every time for a few years of training, I just want to talk for 10 minutes. It's not a big deal, but I want to share some feelings I had today. Would you just give me that attention? And he'll say, yes. He'll look at the clock and go, I can do 10 minutes. If you don't give 10 minutes, as soon as you start, he's going to go into just, oh my God, how long is this going to go?
Right.
It's
Now, I
just
want to
me.
clarify one thing that I think is important. You're not saying that men shouldn't show anger or frustration or emotions, just not to their partner. I mean, there is a
Yes,
benefit
right.
to men releasing emotions, just
Well,
not.
no, again, let me just,
No?
when you say releasing, talking about what made you angry
Mhm.
with other men, we make jokes about it. This is what men do. And there's not that many men around today. They all want to talk about their feelings. In my men's group, there's always a few guys, can't we go deep? I say, tell me what happened. I'm going to make a joke about it. See, men go light. Then if they have issues of depression or anxiety, when it's a big deal, we don't make light of it. Then we can go deep with it and you share it with another man who understands what you're going through, not a woman. And now there is a place in a relationship where a woman really feels heard and supported, where you can share some of that, but never if it's blaming, never if she's going to hear that she has to change in some way because of what you're feeling. That's the dynamic of what women need is caring. Then the next thing, when you care enough, you'll take the time to understand her. And a woman will not feel understood if you finish her sentences. A woman only feels understood after she's finished saying what she's feeling, and then you're not mad at her. That's it. Is your response caring, or is your response like, that's no big deal? Why are you upset about that? And so forth. So that's understanding. And the other one, once you can care and understand, you respect. That's what women need more than anything, is respect from men. But men cannot respect you unless they first understand your sensitivities and what your needs are and what your wishes are. That's why communication is so important. When men can provide that, then men will get what men need most. And what men need most is to feel appreciated. I'm the hero here. And if I make mistakes, I'm forgiven. I'm accepted. You're not trying to reinvent me all the time. And you trust me. You can depend on me for certain things, not for everything, not to be perfect, man, but you depend on me. He's my guy. That's what we need, but she needs the other thing. So much of the time I tell men, you need to listen to your wife. Don't interrupt her. Don't explain. Do that. My magic words for men are help me understand that better. You say to her, tell me more. And then when it seems like she doesn't have anything else to say, there's this long pause, then just say, well, what else? It just completely shocks her. And then more will come out. And so I'm telling men to do this, and men will sometimes stand up. Oh, you don't know my wife. If I was to say, help me understand that better, she's going to talk for an hour. And I said, no, she's not. The only reason in the past she's talked for an hour is that you finish your sentences, you argue with her, you explain yourself. And I'll just add to this other thing that women do. We kind of talked about in our last interview, but it's women asking men questions. Okay, so here you are in a relationship, and you have a man shut down. Okay, he's in his cave. He doesn't want to talk about his feelings, but women panic because they don't understand that he must be mad at me. So you want to get what's going on? What's the matter? In parentheses, I hope it's not me. Well, maybe just asking the question already, you're on the list of annoying me. But let's say there is something you did that was annoying. Men love you. You'd have to get this, that men love you, but they get annoyed. Like you get annoyed, you get bothered about things. We're out not always perfectly loving. So if a man's annoyed, he's not going to talk because he knows instinctively. He knows talking is not good for him. He doesn't even need to do it. He just needs to watch the news, go play basketball and forget it. We forget it. That's like in psychology. Oh my God, that's denial. If a woman tries to forget it, it's denial. If a man does forgetting it, no problem. That's what we're designed to do. Water up the back. Okay, we say to ourselves, no big deal. Don't worry about it. But it can take us a little time to let it go. We do that on our own. He can do that on his own, but women don't know that. And they panic. And why is he not talking? Because when women don't talk, it's usually, I don't trust you. I'm not going to share with you. Well, a man's not talking to you because he doesn't want to. He doesn't need to. And I'll tell men, so let's say I'm feeling annoyed. Oh, she did that, or this, I didn't like that, or whatever it is. I go into my frustration or annoyance with her about something. So I'll become quiet. And then women will say, what is it? What is it? And he'll say nothing. And then what she'll say is, it's something. What is it? Something I did? I said, well, the other day when you did that thing or you said that to me, I didn't really like it. You didn't like it? Why didn't you like it? I do this for you and I do this for you. And why would you say that? Don't you understand that I didn't mean that? She is the biggest arguer once she has any negativity coming out of him about her. Women think they're these great listeners. Yes, you can listen to somebody who agrees with you. You can listen to somebody who's not confronting you. Somebody's in pain and they're not blaming you for it. You're so good at listening, just like me. I'm amazing at listening to all my clients, but they're not blaming me. And I know it's not more than 50 minutes. And I know they're paying me for it. It's just like a big difference. So keep in mind, so when he's like grumpy or irritable, you only make it worse, women, by asking him what's the matter. You need to let him have his space, do something to make you happy, and practice trusting. See, trust is a tough thing. You have to practice trusting. You have to get good at trusting. Women, you need to have someone you can trust. And so it's hard to start trusting someone again after you've been disappointed so many times. How to keep coming back to trusting them to have what you need and have it not be perfect. And I ask women, don't you sometimes wonder, does your partner still love you? Don't you sometimes wonder if your partner still thinks you're so beautiful? And all a man has to say, you tell them what the answers are you want to hear. I'm going to say at times, I'm going to be feeling, do you love me? And then the man will say, well, why do you have to say that? Of course you know. Of course, my head, I know. But deep in my subconscious mind, the childlike part of me needs reassurance that I am loved.
Yeah, I think one of the bottom lines, John, too, and thank you for all your time and this explanation. Somebody should run this tape over and over and over, like every day, just to be reminded, because it all makes sense, and then you just forget. It does. One thing that I think we need to remember, and I think you will agree, or tell me if you don't, is that men and women are always going to be different, and we just have to know that. It doesn't matter, it was 30 years ago if it's today. But difference doesn't mean that we're not equal. I mean, that there's a difference between that. And I think that's where some of the
everybody wants equality. Equality is a beautiful thing. It's not a beautiful thing if we think equality means sameness.
Exactly.
For us to have equal relationship, exactly. We have to be the same. For me to be the same as you, I have to give up me. For you to be the same of me, you have to give us you. So we need to have respect for differences. Right. And ironically, today, the people that want inclusion are the cancelers. They want to cancel everybody if you don't think like us. And we should all get paid the same amount. No, we shouldn't get paid the same amount. It's about how much you do, what your competence is, what your skill level is, and so forth. And women are making more. The women make more in my company. They do more. They're more responsible. They get it out there. See, women can't turn off their brain. We have these 28 extra genes that say, hey, I'm running out of energy. Turn off. That's our cave time. You don't have that. So you just burn out. Women just burn out. They give everything to their work like they would give everything to a child. Now, the truth is, women biologically can generate way more energy than men, so they don't get tired if the behavior they're getting tired at or could get tired at is taking care of a child. Nurturing activities burn fat. Stress-producing activities burn muscle mass. Muscle mass burns sugar. And so men have a lot of intensity and then we run out of energy completely. Women are born with 25% more fat cells so they can have that 24-hour energy if they're doing non-stressful activities. Non-stressful activities for women means activities that produce more estrogen than testosterone. What brings you back to the nurturing part of you is primarily being able to talk about feelings for a woman. If she learns how to do that without using feelings to blame her husband. Yeah. Then you talk about other things.
And that's what men need to learn from this conversation too. It's really quite easy if you just know it.
Well, it's easy to understand, but we do have programming. It's impossible if you don't know it and you don't hear it again and again.
Exactly.
We follow our instincts. My instinct with a quart of vanilla ice cream is to eat it all. But just because I feel like eating it all and because it feels good doesn't mean it's right for me. To go without it doesn't feel good for a while until I adjust.
That's so funny. John, again, thank you so much for your time and all this information. I will put a link up to your book, Beyond Mars and Venus, which covers a lot of what we talked about today. I refer to it a lot. And I look forward to having you back again soon for another tantalizing conversation
Well, thank you
on
so
Second
much.
Act TV.
Fantastic.